Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Mr. Johnson here. Changed the scenery a little bit, moved down into the basement amongst some of my books, and today I thought I'd come to you and do a read aloud of one of my all-time favorite books to read at this time of year, because usually baseball is going on. I love baseball, and so right now it's raining outside too, so it's really a perfect day for this book. The book is titled Mudball, and it's by Matt Tavares. Awesome, awesome story, and it's actually based on a true event. So, lots of really good fun with this one. You can kind of tell from this cover too that this is a bit of a historical book as well. Obviously, not wearing a baseball uniform from today. This is a baseball uniform that would have been worn in like the 1900s. All right, so we're going to start this one today. Mudball by Matt Tavares. Can't wait. Love this story. Illustrations are really cool too. And this was actually given to me by one of my student teachers. His name was Jason a long time ago because now he's a principal. Mudball. You can kind of see they do a really good job with this. There's the umpire getting the field ready, and you can see there's those ominous rain clouds off in the distance. I love this illustration though too. It looks like that really cool old ballpark look. Very nice. Here we go. Okay. One fateful spring day in 1903, little Andy Euler practiced his swing and tried not to listen to the heckling fans of the opposing team. Somebody's heckling you, that means that they're like saying really mean things to try and get you off your game and off track. And so he's trying to ignore them. But the opposing team, the St. Paul Saints. "Hey, shorty, I bet you can't even hit it past the pitcher's mound," a man shouted. "Yeah," sneered a little girl. "My grandmother can hit it farther than you." Andy wondered if maybe, just maybe, they were right. After all, he was the shortest player on his team, the Minneapolis Millers. And in the whole league even. Even worse, he just couldn't seem to get a hit no matter how hard he tried. Maybe it's time for me to quit, thought little Andy Euler, as a cold drizzle started to fall from the gray sky. Oh, it looks like it's getting to be more than a drizzle. You can see the players' reflections. There's so much rain on the field. The Minneapolis Millers trailed the St. Paul Saints by 3 runs, which means Andy's team is losing by 3 runs. They were down to their final out. The bases were loaded, and little Andy Euler was their only hope. But just as he stepped into the batter's box, it began to pour. "Time out!" yelled the umpire. "Wait until this storm cloud passes." But the rain just kept coming, and within minutes the infield had turned to mud, and the field was spotted with puddles. Wow. Look at all that mud in front of home plate. All that water. Oh my goodness. "Play on!" the umpire finally yelled. He was hoping for one quick out, and with little Andy Euler up, he knew the chances of that were pretty good. Andy's cold hands trembled as he tightened his grip on the bat. "Bring us home, kid!" shouted Maloney, taking his lead off of first base. Oh, so there's a runner on first. "Just keep your eye on the ball," yelled Yeager, who was standing ankle deep in a puddle just left of second base. Oh, so there's a guy on second base too. "And whatever you do, don't strike out," growled Slugger McCreary, who was wringing out his jersey at third. So the bases are loaded, and they're losing by 3 runs. There's 3 men on. If all 3 of those guys score, and Andy scores, they can win the game. But Andy's never gotten a hit yet. Probably not going to happen. Uh-oh. Look at that illustration. It looks like the ball's going to hit the bat all right, but I don't think it's the way that he wanted it to. The pitcher wound up and fired a fastball, but the wet ball slipped as it left his hand, and it went hurtling straight toward little Andy Euler's head. "Look out!" yelled Maloney. "Duck!" screamed Yeager, covering his eyes. "And don't strike out!" shouted McCreary. Andy braced himself, but just when he expected the ball to hit him, he heard the unmistakable sound of ball against bat. Crack! That's onomatopoeia. We've talked about that before. That's when an author uses sound words. Crack! Oh, I love these illustrations. Let's see what happens. Somehow, Andy's bat had hit the ball. Everybody heard it, but nobody saw where the ball went. So little Andy Euler took off for first base. That's what they're doing. They're looking for the ball. They can't find it. So Andy's like, well, I'm going to run for first base then. Awesome, awesome illustration. Look at the catcher is looking all over the place. He thinks the ball went up in the air and he's looking for it. Let's see what happens. He popped it up, the catcher shouted. I saw the ball go straight up. He ran in circles around home plate, ready to catch the ball when it fell from the sky. But it never did. I think it's in this puddle, the first baseman shouted. I saw it land right here. He splashed and splashed, but still the ball was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, slugger McCreary strutted across home plate. The score was now 3-1. Euler stole the ball. Check his pockets, the Saints fans all yelled. Andy raced towards second base. See him racing towards second. He jumps over top of the sky. Let's see what happens. He races towards second, but the second baseman stood in his way. Come here, you little thief, he growled. The second baseman dove, but Andy jumped right over him. He rounded second and headed for third as Yeager slid safely home. The score was now 3-2. What'd you do with the ball? The pitcher screamed at the catcher. I didn't do anything, yelled the catcher. It just disappeared. As they were arguing, Maloney slid between them and crossed home plate. The score was 3-3. Andy tagged third and headed for home, but the muddy second baseman was hot on his trail. He's chasing Andy, but Andy's heading for home. Oh my gosh, if Andy scores, it'll be 4-3, and his team will win. I'm gonna get you, the second baseman yelled. With every step, he drew closer and closer, but just as he was ready to pounce on Andy, he tripped right in the mud and fell face down in the mud. Little Andy Euler crossed home plate with the winning run. Oh my goodness. We scored 4 runs! We win! Yelled the Millers manager. It doesn't count, shouted the Saints manager. Nobody knows where the ball went. What do you think's happening in this illustration? What do you think made the second baseman trip? I think I know. That's my guess. Yep. You too? Same? Ah, moaned the second baseman. I tripped on a rock and twisted my ankle. The umpire scratched his head. There weren't any rocks when I raked the field. Out this morning, he said. Oh yeah, said the second baseman. Then what's this? It's a fair ball, yelled the umpire. The Millers win. So that ball he tripped, that rock that he tripped over, it was actually the ball. There was so much mud that it was buried in the mud, and it was right in front of home plate. It didn't go really anywhere. Oh my goodness. And Andy got a home run off it, and they won the game. Look at that. The Millers jumped for joy, and the fans rushed the field, and everyone crowded around little Andy Euler, the big hero of Minneapolis. Sure glad he didn't quit when he wanted to. There's a team photo. We've got a team photo like that in here. I'll show you when I'm done. Epilogue. An epilogue is like what happens after. Even though his home run traveled only a few feet in front of home plate, it seemed to break Andy Euler out of his slump. He had 3 hits the next day, and by the end of that season, he was one of the Minneapolis Millers' best players. Imagine if he would have quit. The St. Paul Saints fans kept making fun of Andy for being short, but it didn't bother him one bit. He knew that he didn't have to hit the ball over the fence to help his team. He just had to play hard and have fun. And that's what Andy Euler did, even on days when he couldn't seem to get a hit, no matter how hard he tried. Andy loved playing for the Millers, and the fans at Nicollet Park loved watching him play. Andy Euler never did hit another home run, though. But while other records have come and gone, no player has come close to doing what he did on that muddy day back in 1903, when the shortest player in the league became a hero by hitting the shortest home run in baseball history. What a great story. And what a great message. You don't have to be the biggest. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the strongest. As long as you don't quit and you always work as hard as you possibly can and you aim to get better every single day, you can do amazing things. All right. Hey, I promised I'd show you a photo that's a lot like it. So we're going to take a little walk here across my basement. And there's a team photo, if you can see that right there. Wow! Try to get that back there so you can see that. That is a team photo of my great-grandfather's baseball team from the early 1900s. That's him right there. He was the catcher and the manager. See if I can move it this way. There you go. He was the catcher and the manager. His name was Wilbur Rivette. So, yeah, you can tell I love baseball, right? There's a lot of baseball stuff in this room, that is for certain. Lots and lots of cool baseball things all over the place. Lots of trophies. Trophies and things all down and over in here. Well, I thank you for participating in the Read Aloud today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody. Until next time. Remember, don't quit. Always too soon to quit. Always.